We live in a time where boredom feels like a threat. The moment silence enters the room, we reach for our phones. The moment there's no entertainment, no notifications, no stimulation, we panic, we scroll, we swipe. We watch, we consume, and in doing that, we lose something powerful, something rare. But what if boredom isn't the enemy? What if escaping boredom is actually the biggest mistake of our generation? Before we go further, if you're someone who feels this too, if you've realized that constant stimulation has made your mind foggy, your focus weak, your creativity silent, then this channel is for you. Subscribe to Mental Gold now. We're not here for hype. We're here to rebuild the mind, quietly, daily, sharply. Let's continue. Think about this. When was the last time you did nothing, truly nothing, and felt okay? Not checking messages, not watching anything, not switching between apps, just sitting, thinking, being. Most people can't even go 5 minutes like that without itching for distraction. But boredom used to be part of being human. It was the space where new ideas were born. It was the moment where your brain, stripped of stimulation, had no choice but to generate instead of just consume. Science shows that boredom actually activates the default mode network in the brain, the part responsible for creativity, memory consolidation, self-reflection, and long-term planning. So when we constantly avoid boredom, we don't just lose time, we lose the ability to hear our own minds, and that's dangerous. Because when you lose touch with your inner world, you become vulnerable to the outer world. You start reacting instead of reflecting. You chase dopamine instead of direction. You lose yourself in the noise instead of finding yourself in the silence. Here's what happens when we stop boring ourselves. We trade depth for distraction. We trade solitude for scrolling. We trade thinking for reacting, and without even noticing, we become strangers to ourselves. Pause for a moment. If anything I just said feels real to you, don't keep watching silently. Comment right now. I choose clarity over chaos. Let this be your first act of mindful attention, because this isn't about quitting the internet. It's about reclaiming your mind. Let's keep going. Asterisk, 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 asterisk is asterisk. There's a reason why so many of the world's best thinkers, philosophers, artists, leaders, inventors valued boredom. They called it space, solitude, or the void. Because they knew what modern life has forgotten. Boredom is the birthplace of original thought. When the brain is unstimulated, it turns inward. It starts connecting dots. It starts asking deeper questions. It starts noticing things that are usually buried under noise. That's how creativity happens. You don't get your best ideas while scrolling. You get them in the shower, on a walk, in silence. Because your mind finally has room to think. And yet, most people never give their minds that room. They rush from one dopamine hit to the next, constantly entertained but never engaged. But the truth is, boredom builds mental strength. When you resist the urge to escape, you develop patience. When you sit in stillness, you develop awareness. When you think for yourself, you develop identity. You learn to sit with a problem instead of running away from it. You learn to listen to your thoughts instead of drowning them. And you begin to notice something extraordinary. There's power in the pause. Because when you stop trying to escape boredom, you start discovering who you really are without the world telling you. You find your own rhythm, your own interests, your own priorities, and in that process, you begin to take back control. So the real question isn't, how do I stop being bored? It's, what is my boredom trying to teach me? Now let's take a moment. If you're still watching, you're not just consuming this message, you're part of it. So take this moment to reset your relationship with your own mind. Subscribe to Mental Gold now if you're ready to build clarity in a distracted world. This channel is for those who want to win. Quietly, daily, deeply. And if this video is opening something inside you, share it with someone else who's always rushing, always scrolling, always filling their mind with noise. Let's go even deeper. Asterisk, 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 asterisk. We often underestimate how much noise is stealing from us, not just our time, but our clarity, our focus, our peace, our ability to truly experience the world and ourselves. When we stop boring ourselves, we don't become more alive. We become more distracted. We don't become more creative. We become more reactive. We don't become more free. We become more dependent on stimulation, on content, on something to always fill the void. And that's the real trap, because the world will never run out of things to distract you. But your attention is limited. And what you give it to becomes your reality. Let's flip the script. What if we started treating boredom as a gateway, not a problem? What if we leaned into it instead of running from it? What if we trained ourselves to sit in silence and listen? You'll be amazed at what starts to happen. You begin to notice your own thinking patterns. You become more creative because your brain finally has space to think. You get better at handling discomfort because you're no longer addicted to being entertained. You start setting boundaries because you realize your mind is worth protecting. And little by little, you begin to rise. Not loudly, not instantly, but deeply. Here's a habit I challenge you to try. Every day, set a 10-minute timer. No phone, no music, no screen. Just sit, breathe, think. It'll feel uncomfortable at first. Your brain will want to escape. But if you stay, just stay, you'll feel something shift. That's your mind returning home. That's your mind remembering what stillness feels like. That's your focus, your discipline, your inner voice rebuilding itself. And it all starts when you stop trying to escape boredom. This doesn't mean you have to meditate for hours or delete your apps. It means you create pockets of peace in your day, moments where you disconnect from noise and reconnect with yourself. Because in that silence, you'll find direction. You'll find calm. You'll find strength, not from outside, but from within. So here's the truth no one tells you. Boredom isn't a weakness, it's a skill. And the people who master it, master themselves. So if you want to stand out in a world addicted to noise, learn to be okay in the quiet. Learn to be alone with your thoughts. Learn to be present without stimulation. That's how you train your mind. That's how you access clarity. That's how you grow. Because when you stop running from boredom, you start building focus. You start building power. You start building mental gold. If this message spoke to you today, don't keep it to yourself. Comment below. I embrace stillness. I train my mind. Let's make that a commitment, not just a comment. And if you're serious about building clarity, discipline, and depth, subscribe now. Here, we build minds that win, not by chasing noise, but by mastering silence. Because in a world that never stops talking, stillness becomes your superpower.